Alright, what's up you guys? I am here with a video that I have been planning for quite some time. The top 25 greatest WWE DVDs of all time. So obviously, there's going to be some that I can't put on the list, but there are 5 honorable mentions I do want to go through now. So if this were top 30, this would be the other 5. So, the McMahon DVD, it's a great one. I've always loved this one. True Story of WrestleMania, one of my personal favorites. This one was originally on the list. Randy Orton, Evolution of a Predator. Hulk Hogan's Unreleased Collector's Series. And then finally, Nature Boy Ric Flair, the Definitive Collection. I have 2 Ric Flair DVDs on this list already, so I just kind of omitted that one. So, top 25. Here we go. Number 25. Breaking the Code, Behind the Walls of Chris Jericho. This is a great documentary about his life, his career. This was released in 2010, so you get a good portion of his career. The artwork is great. You get some of his best matches. You get a really good look at who, Chris Irvin is, or Chris Jericho. So, this is probably the definitive Chris Jericho DVD. Next up, we have the Ladder Match DVD. This is another one of my personal favorites, as you guys know by now. This was a great selection of ladder matches. If I couldn't put together a better compilation of at least, WWE property-owned ladder matches. You do have a Stampede Wrestling ladder match in here, which is awesome. I wish we could have gotten more of those. But, overall you have a lot of the TLC matches. You have great singles ladder matches. So this one is a great collection of ladder matches. And, I think anyone can really enjoy that set. The second one, not as much. But next up we have Triple H, Thy Kingdom Come. This is number 23. This was kind of a surprise hit. A lot of people kind of doubted this one because it's Triple H. A lot of people just weren't really interested. Where I was like, no, this is going to be good. And this is a great documentary. You have great vignettes, great talking segments. And then, of course, you have matches. 2 discs worth of matches. And there is a Blu-ray version of this out there. A lot of these do have Blu-ray editions as well. So, overall, great set. And, great cover, great artwork. To me, this was a great hit. Next up, we have Rise and Fall of WCW. This is about as good as you're going to get in terms of a WCW documentary, I guess you want to put it that way. This is, for the most part, pretty accurate. You know how WWE is. They like to write their own history. But, this still is a great history book on WCW. Brian Alvarez, I think he wrote the best, historically accurate book on WCW. So check that out, Brian Alvarez. But this is a nice little companion piece to a casual audience. But if you want the more in-depth detail, I highly recommend The Death of WCW by Brian Alvarez. It kind of elaborates where that DVD didn't. Next up, we have For All Mankind. This is, that cover is as Mick Foley as it gets. I love it. So, what this is, you have a great documentary on the life and career of Mick Foley, and then a lot of his matches, and great moments. And even, I love this. Even the discs, you have his 3 characters there. So, yeah, this is great. Disc 1 is completely the documentary, and then the other disc is matches, or the other 2 discs are matches. Unfortunately, this is a 6.5-hour runtime, so obviously you could have fit more in there. I think it would have been cool just to throw some more promos or stuff like that. But overall, great set. Next up we have Tombstone, The History of the Undertaker. I have 2 copies of this. This one, I got a sealed one, so that's cool. $8. But this was actually one of the first DVDs I ever got back in the day. This was released in 2005, and it features 21 of The Undertaker's greatest matches. And, this spans into, obviously from Survivor Series 91 with Hogan, all the way up to WrestleMania 20. And then you do have a match with Kurt Angle on SmackDown after that. So, it's spanning up to the Return of the Dead Man in 2004, basically. But overall, this is a great retrospective of his career. You get a lot of good behind-the-scenes vignettes, interviews, pretty neat narration, actually, that you don't see very often on these types of DVDs. So, yeah, beautiful set. Definitely my favorite Undertaker DVD. Next up, we have Brian Pillman, Loose Cannon. Another, kind of a missed opportunity in ways. I'd rather a 3-disc set, but this was at a time in 2000, from like 2006 to 2008, we got a lot of 2-disc sets. So, like I said, I would love a 3-disc DVD on Brian Pillman, and there's another person on this list that I'd rather a 3-disc set as well. But still, a great documentary. Probably someone, realistically, that it's kind of surprising that WWE took the time to produce a documentary-based DVD on, because they've ignored a lot of his career. Like, you don't really see him get mentioned too often. And, even his death wasn't crazily honored. It wasn't like Owen or Eddie or anything like that. So, it kind of makes up for a lot of things getting this DVD. And he's somebody that deserves that limelight. He really deserves to have the attention on him. And that's what this DVD does, thankfully. So it's kind of a miracle release. Not something you'd expect them to release, but hey, they did, so it's awesome. Next up, we have Road Warriors. The life and death of the most dominant tag team in wrestling history. And I'd actually agree on that. I would say, they are the most dominant tag team ever. And, if you were to say they're the greatest tag team ever, I'm not going to argue that. So, obviously we just had Joe die, Animal. So, yeah, this is an absolutely fantastic set to go back with their career. And you get a lot of good stuff. You have just loads of extras. Look at that. It's a 2-disc set. This one could have been 3 as well. But just look at that. All that content. You have, of course, promos. It gets into pretty much every aspect of their career. EWA, NWA, WCW, and then, of course, WWF. So you even have some Japanese stuff on here. And you actually have a Japanese alternate commentary. So, and you have the original Japanese commentary and then the alternate commentary by Jim Ross and Animal. That's what I meant to say. But, yeah, you know me. I love my Japanese wrestling. So, this was very, very generous with content. They could have easily just thrown a bunch of their WWE stuff on there. But no, you got NWA, WCW, AWA, like I said. So, awesome stuff. Alright, Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig. Easily could have been a 3-disc set. This was 2008. But, this one was heavily advertised. I remember, this one was a big release. And, what you have here is a documentary, obviously. And then a bunch of, like a slew of his matches. So, very nice. Very nice artwork honoring Mr. Perfect. And, you know, you do get a lot of content on here. Disc 1, you have the documentary. You get some matches as well as vignettes and stories. And then Disc 2 features a bunch of matches. You know, from AWA, we have WCW, and then obviously WWF. So, another great 2-disc set. And they were really rolling out these 2-disc sets, man. Like, even the Road Warriors one, too. Like, they were really pushing these out. And they were just so cool. Next up, probably my favorite golden era, if you want to call it that, wrestler of just ever. Jake Roberts. Pick your poison. This was such a cool set. And what we have, if you open it up, we have a 6-hour runtime. Like I said, with these 2-disc sets, man, they were rolling out. You get this great documentary on his career, and I can watch any documentary on Jake Roberts. I can listen to him talk for hours. I don't care. He is just an absolute gem in terms of wrestling. And me being huge into psychology and everything like that, he's the best in terms of wrestling psychology and, you know, playing a heel. So, you know, this is just such a great look at his career. You get so many stories, moments, and this is kind of when he was in that middle period. Like, this is way before resurrection of Jake Roberts, so this was that middle period of his life, his career, where, you know, he still wasn't in the best shape mentally. So it's an interesting look at the man, Jake Roberts. Next up, my all-time favorite wrestler, Hard Knocks, the Chris Benoit story. I know a lot of people love this DVD. A lot of people would probably put this at number 1. I know a lot of people that would. But, you know, this is a 2-disc release, 6-hour runtime, great documentary, and this was released in 2004. And I'm really glad this was released when it was. Because, let's say it was never released, we never would have got a Benoit DVD. So, thankfully, this came out before his death, and we actually got to enjoy it and, you know, have his career and life celebrated. But, obviously, it's a forgotten DVD, but not by his fans, not by a long shot. Next up, we have one of my favorite territories. We have the spectacular legacy of the AWA, the American Wrestling Association. 6-hour runtime, one of those great 2-discers. And what we have is a really good documentary. And this is, I'd say this is one of the most underrated DVDs as well. You get great documentary, and then you get some matches, as well as some just extras. That being interviews, promos, all that stuff. So, yeah, it basically goes through the birth of the NWA, and then it ends with, you know, obviously Vern Gagne getting inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. And in between, you have different wrestlers being focused upon, like Hulk Hogan, Stan Hansen, you know, Shawn Michaels is obviously mentioned. But, yeah, obviously, this is such a great set for the wrestling historians, especially, and for people who actually want to learn the history behind, you know, the territory days. Yeah, that's my favorite period in wrestling, is the good old territory days. Next up, we have, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. This was such an anticipated release right when this came out. I even got my Paul Heyman autograph in there. But I chose the Blu-ray version because there is a lot to be mentioned here in terms of extras. But you have this splendid documentary. They didn't pull a single punch with this one. You know, it's such a great look at one of the most comprehensive people in wrestling. One of the most intelligent figures in wrestling and just complex people. So, you know, you have stories, you have promos, you do have a few matches, and it's to the point where there's so many promos that they have to break them down by territory here. Not territory, promotion, but yeah, just awesome set. And like I said, this one was highly anticipated because everyone knew that this was going to be a comprehensive look at his life and career. So, ended up, you know, being a massive success there. Next up, we have another 2-discer. We have The Triumph and Tragedy of World Class Championship Wrestling. And it's a good little companion piece to the Dark Side of the Ring episode about the Von Erichs. So, you know, obviously it's not all about the Von Erich family. You do have, you know, the Freebirds and all that stuff and, you know, other mentions. You know, it's not just a Von Erich family tragedy story. But, you know, a lot of it is involving the Von Erichs. You have a few matches on here with them. You have some rare matches on here as well. Very rare stuff. So, you know, if you're the wrestling historian, this is definitely one for you. You know, you have Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich on here. Steel cage match. You have some Fritz Von Erich stuff, which you don't see too often. Iceman and Buddy Roberts. You have Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher. And I always love the Bruiser Brody stuff. Not so much the Butcher, but whatever. So yeah, definitely pick this one up for any great wrestling historian out there. Another one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, the Roddy Piper story, born to controversy. And there is a 4-disc edition. It was a Walmart exclusive. But a great documentary on the life and career of Roddy Piper. You have disc 1 being the full feature presentation. And then disc 2 we have matches. And then disc 3 we have all Piper's pits, which is gold. That's like a wrestling gold mine right there. So, you know, very well put together DVD. You know, I'm glad we got the documentary, and we did get the unreleased Roddy Piper matches DVD later as well. So another great one there. Next up, we have Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. You know, another surprising one that I'm glad we got because, you know, this was released in, 2007. So it's always risky releasing DVDs like this, like the AWA, WCCW, and then this one. It's always risky because modern fans, it really is sad to see how much they don't know about wrestling and wrestling history. So it's DVDs like this that can help preserve that history and for people to go back and see why things are the way they are, and, you know, see the full history of Four Horsemen. So, and I'm really glad it's a 2-disc set because I could easily see them making this a 1-discer, but no, you get all this content. Beautiful insert. You know, you have matches on here, we have promos, we have different segments as well. So, really good stuff. You know, you have War Games on here. You have Tully Blanchard in the First Blood match against Dusty Rhodes. Arn Anderson and Ric Flair. So, please, for the love of God, get this one. I can't beg the modern fans enough to get that one. And then next up we have You Think You Know Me, the story of Edge. And this was released to coincide with his Hall of Fame induction in 2012. 7.5 hour runtime. I believe there is a Blu-ray out there as well. And I believe there was a nice little tin. So I also do have the tin, but that might have been for Decade of Decadence. I'm not sure. It might have been for this one. I don't know, I have it stored away somewhere. It doesn't matter. But, yeah, what we have the documentary, and then it's very simple. Documentary and then matches. You have, 12 matches, so that's good. You even have Adam Impact versus Christian Cage from 95. And as you all know, I'm a huge Christian guy. So, beautiful artwork. And it's a very good documentary. Like, they didn't cheap out on it. They go into detail about his life, his career, and his retirement. And, it's interesting now. He's back in wrestling. Going back and, taking a look at that DVD, it means something else now than it did a few years ago. Next up, we have Cheating Death and Stealing Life, the Eddie Guerrero story. This is such an underrated DVD. Not too many people talk about this one. A lot of people like the compilation set that came out in, 2008, which it was good. But to me, this is the definitive Eddie Guerrero DVD. It's a full documentary as well as matches. You have 5 hours of extras, including the Viva La Raza vignettes. You have special look at WrestleMania 20. And then you have, 10 matches. So, 6-hour runtime. But this is one of those documentaries that it really hits you emotionally. So, if you're able to, pick this one up. And yes, this is a signed edition. Signed in 2004. So, yeah, great set. To me, the match compilation one's great and everything, but this one, that's the one you need to get if you're only going to get one of them. So, we are up to the top 7 now. Number 7. The first ever Digipack release from WWE. The Ultimate Ric Flair Collection. I was able to find this in pristine condition. My old one was kind of beat up, unfortunately, so I got this new one for $7. So, yeah, this thing's, top notch. But this is one of the coolest covers of all time. This is my all-time favorite belt, the big gold belt, of course. So, I'm really glad they chose that picture. Then you have it on the back as well. And this DVD is a little different. It's not just your random match compilation and documentary. It basically takes a really in-depth look at some of his rivalries and some of his bigger matches. You have a really good look at him in Steamboat. You have good look at him in Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, Terry Funk. You have stories on here. It talks about the plane crash, of course. The history of the Horsemen, and then a day in the life of the Horsemen. This is about as good as it gets in terms of wrestling DVDs. You could have easily done... it's Ric fucking Flair. To me, Ric Flair is the greatest of all time. If you were to ask me right now, who the greatest wrestler is Ric Flair. So, out of his 3 DVDs, to me, this is the absolute best one. And like I said, it's a different format. It's not just a bunch of random matches. No, this is an in-depth look at his career and rivalries. So, definitely pick that one up. Next up, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bottom line on the most popular superstar of all time. And I do have a Blu-ray edition as well. So, yeah, pick that one up. You get some extra stuff. So, this is obviously a very long, in-depth documentary on Stone Cold Steve Austin. And if anyone deserves a 4-disc set, it's probably Stone Cold. So I'm glad they went with the 10-hour runtime as opposed to the 7 to 9-hour runtime you get with the 3-disc sets. But, just look at all this content. Great documentary, like I said. You have different stories as a special feature. You have matches upon matches, and then disc 4 we have moments and different segments. So, yeah, to me this is the definitive Stone Cold DVD. He's never really had a bad DVD, so this was just another one to put up there. Next up, we're in the top 5. CM Punk, the best in the world. This is the Blu-ray edition. There is also the DVD edition. So, what we have is one of the best documentaries WWE has ever put together. Let's be honest. And then you have an extra 30 minutes of revealing interviews, stories, and more. And then you have matches, of course. And a lot of the matches are kind of repeats. Like, they're going to be ones you're going to find, somewhere else. But this was released in, 2012? Yeah, 2012. During his WWE title run. So it's a good way to highlight that and highlight his career. And it's like the Paul Heyman DVD. It's a very comprehensive look at a very complicated person. Which is one reason to really love that. Alright, number 4. WWE Unreleased. 1986 to 1995. I almost said the wrong years because there's a misprint. So if you have the misprint edition, there you go. This is... Oh my god, I was geeking out when this came out. And not too many people were, unfortunately. Because what you have here is unreleased house show matches, untelevised. You have some televised. All stuff that you would really find... It's an experience you would have going live. And, it's literally like being in the arena for the house show back in the late 80s, early 90s. So, to me, this is gold. It's unfortunate that not a lot of people understood the importance of this release. You have stuff like Hulk Hogan versus Earthquake, Demolition versus Legion of Doom, Ultimate Warrior versus Taker, casket match, Jake Roberts versus Mr. Madness, and then, this does go into, like, new generation era in, like, 93, 94, 95. But a lot of this is Golden Age stuff. 86, it starts at. And, you have Dingo Warrior versus Jose Estrada. Like, where else are you going to find that shit? Like, this is absolute wrestling gold. You have Andre the Giant, you have Bret Hart. You have just so many just moments, memories, moments. And I actually forgot a DVD. What the hell? Where did I put it? Oh, down here. Okay, so this is now the top 26. Sorry. The real number 4, so basically bumping everything up. I forgot to put this on the stack. Number 4 now. Bret the Hitman Hart. My voice just cracked horribly. Bret the Hitman Hart. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. So, you have, to me, if you were to say this is your number 1, that's perfectly fine. This was originally supposed to be a 1-disc DVD called Screwed. It was basically going to mimic what the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior did. But Bret Hart, he basically put his foot down and got involved. And you got this masterpiece out of it. This is, it's hard to put into words how important this DVD actually was. But you have a great documentary, of course. And then you have hand-selected matches from Bret. Which is, it's so good that he got involved. It really is. Because you gotta remember, this was their first collaboration. And then he went to the Hall of Fame the following year in 2006. But, a lot of the matches on here is stuff you're gonna find on other DVDs. But you have to understand, this is 2005, so there wasn't as much saturation as there is now. You have Hart Foundation and the Rockers. You have a match with Ted DiBiase. You have a match with Owen in White Plains, New York. And you do have my favorite WCW match of all time. Bret Hart versus Chris Benoit. At least the Nitro era WCW. I'll put it that way. So, Monday Night War era, that's my favorite WCW match. Obviously, there's a slew of NWA WCW matches that I prefer, but overall, such a great set. Yeah, I forgot to put it on the stack. So yeah, this is now the top 26. Might as well just make it top 27, because that's my favorite number. So fuck it. Number 27, Ric Flair, The Definitive Collection. Fuck. Alright, so we're in the top 3 now. This was hard, but I think I have what I want here. Number 3, the Randy Savage story. This is just a remarkable release. Just look at that cover. The cover says it all. And of course there was the box set, which is right there. And, you know, this is, to me, I think their best documentary they ever did on a wrestler. So, I've never seen anything better than this in terms of WWE produced. You know, Wrestling with Shadows is my favorite wrestling documentary, but if we're talking WWE made documentary, this is it. So, you have a 3-disc set, 7-hour runtime. I mean, just look at that. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers, my favorite wrestling couple by far. Ask me who my favorite wrestling manager is. Miss Elizabeth. That and Jim Cornette. Those are my two. Two very different managers. But, yeah. So, you have a top-notch A-plus documentary. And then you have matches with Ricky Steamboat, Bruno Sammartino in a lumberjack match. Harley Race, Hulk Hogan, of course. Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and DDP from Halloween Havoc 97. So, yeah, you can't get much better than this. A-plus DVD for sure. Alright, number 2. And it just so happens to be probably my second favorite DVD ever released. WWE Greatest Rivalries. Shawn versus Bret. Like I said, there's been times where this is my favorite and then it's my second favorite. I don't know. But to me, this is the second greatest DVD they've ever produced. This was released in 2011. You know, obviously, Bret came back in 2010 in collaboration with WWE again. And this is the most comprehensive look at this rivalry. And then, ironically, for some reason, the DVD version did not include Survivor Series 97's match, but the Blu-ray edition does, which I do have, yeah, right there. So, get the Blu-ray, for sure, seriously, if you want the full story. But, you know, this was just kind of an out-of-nowhere release. Not a lot of people expected this one, and I wish they would have done more of the Greatest Rivalry DVDs. But you have a lot of their matches. You have the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation, so it's not just single stuff. And then, you know, you have matches that are kind of lesser known, like Wrestling Challenge in 1990. And then you have the more famous matches, like the Iron Man match. And you also have Bret Hart's return to Raw, January 4th of 2010, as well as both of their induction ceremonies, which is actually a nice little touch to include. But yeah, I don't know why the hell the DVD did not include the Screwjob itself. It's beyond me, but they made up for it by releasing it with the Blu-ray. So, number 1, a lot of people will probably agree. This is probably the old school collector in me to still say this is the greatest DVD. A lot of people think that others came out after this that are the best. To me, this is still the best. The Rise and Fall of ECW. 6-hour runtime, released in 2004 to really kick off the ECW return, if you want to call it that. But, you know, One Night Stand followed this, obviously, in 2005. And the ECW craze was kind of coming back with that. And then 2006 One Night Stand, I really like that one. And then you have the WWE CW, which we will not talk about any further in this video. Please. But anyway, you have probably the most in-depth documentary they have ever done. Like, it's retarded how in-depth this documentary really is. That's the documentary. Look at that. Like, it's insane. You have everything. It talks about every ECW star. It talks about production. It talks about the fans. It talks about, the importance of their first pay-per-view. It talks about their last pay-per-view. It talks about, obviously, the rise and fall. That's what it's called. But it's not just the rise and fall. It's the entire damn run. How it went from Eastern Championship Wrestling all the way to ECW on TNN. This is the most in-depth DVD they've ever done. And on top of that, you have Disc 2, which is extras. You have the 2 out of 3 falls, Rey Mysterio and Psychosis match. Possibly my favorite ECW match ever. You have Mikey Whipwreck versus Sandman. You have Scorpio and Sabu. Just Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow, RVD and Jerry Lynn. And then you have a few different little stories as well, like vignette stories. So, to me, this is the greatest wrestling DVD of all time. WWE Released, that is. So, this was a long-ass video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried not to blab too much here, but what can you do? But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. For now, this has been the DVD Freak. Give me your list and opinions down below. Peace out.